What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm LotusAsakura, the one that knows best, and today I'm finally bringing you guys another manga haul video. Worth noting, by the way, that this is the last manga haul that I'll be doing before doing an updated collection video. I don't think I've only ever done one manga collection video, and I want to say that was in like maybe 2020, 2021. It's been a few years at least. It's been at least 2-3 years. And I did a subathon on Twitch. You guys heard me talk about it a few times. And basically, I owe you guys a new manga collection video. So that will be coming pretty soon after this video does, hopefully within the next few days or so. Now I say that, but don't hold me to it because y'all know how I be. But anyway, we actually have a pretty decent sized haul today, like 30 plus volumes. And I don't know when the last time is that I had a haul of this volume. No pun intended, that wasn't on purpose, I swear. But regardless, we had a lot of volumes to get through. So let's go ahead and take a look at what I picked up. Now I have a brand new addition to the collection that I want to show you guys, because one of the series that I picked up is the first 6 volumes of Blue Box. I want to say that during like all their sales and stuff that was going on Crunchyroll, these volumes were maybe like $5 or $6 a piece, and I was like, this is the perfect time to add this, because Blue Box is a brand new series to me that has been ongoing for a tiny little bit, but it's relatively new, I guess. It's only been going on for a few years now, I think. It's a sports series. It's a romance slice of life series about this boy who plays badminton and this girl who plays basketball. She's a year or two older than him, and he's got a crush on her, and so on and so forth. And it's really good, man. I like it a lot. This came highly recommended to me by several people, actually, and it took me a long time to ever get around to it, because obviously there's so many anime out there, there's so many manga out there, and obviously I have my own life and my own obligations and responsibilities. I just never really got around to it. But I've been back into like my manga reading bag lately, so I'm catching up on some series. I'm starting some new ones and stuff. And one of the series I started reading was Blue Box, and I'm up to date basically. I'm 2 chapters behind. I haven't read the last 2 chapters, but this was so good that I read it from start to up to date, and I was like, this definitely has to be something that I add to the collection. So if you have similar taste in manga at all to me, or if you had your eye on this, if you were wondering if it's any good, this comes highly recommended from your boy. This is probably one of my like top 3, definitely top 5 ongoing series right now. And you know, something that I kind of used to do in these videos from time to time that I don't really do anymore is give you guys a bit of an idea of like what the artwork inside of here looks like. Let me see if I can find a good panel and just hold it up to the camera real quick so you guys can see how it looks and everything. And you know what, I think this is a decent enough page. But yeah, I just, you know, just because like I feel like when I'm getting into a new series, one of the things that obviously interests me the most is what's the art style look like, what's the artwork. And of course you can just Google it, but I figure why not just throw in a little look. And this is the first volume, so that wasn't anything too spoiler crazy. But yeah, it's really good. I really like the relationship dynamic between these 2 characters. I guess not to spoil too much more of the plot, but I just want you to read it for yourself. Actually, the way that their friendship and everything develops, and maybe it becomes more, maybe it doesn't. Who knows? That's the fun part about reading the story. But it's really well handled. It be hitting, man. It be hitting. So you just go ahead, take my word for it, or don't, and check it out for yourself. Either way, I just hope that a lot of you guys read this, because it's becoming quickly one of my personal favorites. So here we have volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, volume 4, and also you could probably tell how much I enjoyed this series just by how excited I got just now by when I was talking about it, and how quickly I started talking. Because I definitely started off the video, yo, what's good? I was mad chill, right? But as soon as I started talking about Blue Box, your boy got mad amped, which is one of those habits that I've talked about before that I've always had as a kid. And let me just go ahead and keep on going. We got volume 5. But when I was a kid, right, I always had this habit of talking really, really fast when I get excited. I'm also from a little bit further up north, and that just seems to be a thing up there, where northern people just tend to talk kind of fast, I guess. I don't know, at least that's what I was told growing up. Here's volume 6, really pretty cover. I really like the colors on this one. And I felt like as a teenager, I kind of outgrew that. But then, I don't know, at some point when I became like a content creator, I guess it kind of snuck up on me again, but whatever. Anyway, like I said, Blue Box is a new personal favorite of mine, and I will definitely continue to collect the entirety of this series, because every single chapter has been great, and I'm only honestly enjoying it more and more the longer it goes on. Moving on, we have another personal favorite series of mine. I don't really know what the general opinion is of this, if I'm honest, because I don't really worry too much about that type of thing when I get into a series. Like if I like it, I like it, and that's all that really matters. But because of the type of series it is, it probably isn't considered particularly, I don't know, like I said, that don't really matter to me. But I finally picked up the final 5 volumes of We Never Learn, that being volumes 17 through 21. It's a bit of a slice of life rom-com harem series. And you know, when you hear the word harem, immediately certain people, they gonna raise their eyebrows. They already got these preconceived notions and their judgments, and that's cool, that's fine. I genuinely like it a lot. I really like the main character, Naruyuki. I like all the girls in this series. They're all really interesting and fun characters to me. And one of the great things about We Never Learn, by the way, is that there is what I would consider to be a true ending in this story. And there's like, you know, the main character, he does end up picking one of the girls. However, the author, after the series was over, pretty much went on and just made chapters showing what it could have been like if he ended up with any of the other girls. So you can really just pick whichever ending you like the most. And some might say that that's a cop-out, or you could say whatever you want, it's pandering, whatever. I think that's a really negative way of looking at it. I see it's more like, oh, it's really cool. You know, you can't make everybody happy, but he tried to kind of make everybody happy. And you can just say, well, this is my ending, or this is the ending for me. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I like the series a lot. So here we have volume 17, which this series, by the way, has some really, really pretty volume covers. And I'm glad to have finally completed it, because this is a series that I really, really enjoyed while it was ongoing. And like I said, this is the completed series now. And I don't know where exactly it ranks. Honestly, now that I think about it, would you guys be interested in me making a video talking about, just rambling and raving about my favorite 10 manga series and favorite 10 anime series, whatever? I don't really know what my top 10 favorite anime and manga looks like at this point, but something tells me this might crack my top 10, because it's really that funny and that fun to me, and I really like the characters that much. This is one of those series, like while reading, like it actually makes me like legitimately laugh out loud. And yeah, and the anime is really good too. The anime is really good too. I love them both. I don't know if the anime makes my top 10. It might though. I don't know. Like I said, I'd have to make a new list. It's been a while since I really sat down and thought about what my top 10 favorites of all time are. But yeah, We Never Learn's a pretty damn good one for me. And here's volume, not 2019. Sorry, I can't count. I'm a Dragon Ball fan. But yes, really, really, really pretty volume covers for these. And then here we have volume 20. And last but certainly not least, we have the final volume of We Never Learn, volume 21. You know, when I pick up some of these series that have made multiple appearances in these manga haul videos, I was getting to a point where I was trying not to speak on them too much, because it just felt like really repetitive. But because these haul videos are so infrequent at this point, maybe it's worth me giving you just a quick synopsis on what the story is about. And basically, long story short, there's this hardworking, earnest teen year in high school named Nariyuki, who is, you know, trying to get ready for college entrance exams or whatever. And basically he becomes the tutor for all these really cute girls who need help with certain things. So you have like Ogata, who's really great at science and math, or really bad at English, and vice versa. You have another girl who is like really, really good at English and really bad at math. And you have like this girl who's really good at athletics, and she's just bad at book smarts in general. And then, yeah, there's other girls that come along and get involved as well as the story goes on and progresses. And it's just really fun. Like I said, it's rom-com, slice of life, harem thing. I mean, that pretty much gives you an idea how things are gonna go. But I really enjoyed it a lot, and I just, yeah, it's a personal favorite of mine as well, just like Blue Box is these days. And speaking of personal favorites, again, I don't know exactly what my top 10 looks like at this point in my lifetime, but what I do know is that somewhere in my top 10 favorite anime of all time is this series, and that is Horimiya. Okay, now the reason why I specify the anime and not the manga is because I haven't read the majority of the manga yet. This is the final volume, so I finally collected it all and I can read it all. But Horimiya very quickly and easily became one of my top 10 favorite anime of all time. Okay, and this is one of those things that just hit for me real specifically. And you know what I'm saying, it's just relatable in some ways, and it's just, you know what I'm saying, like sometimes every so often you just come across a series that resonates with you spiritually, and it's just like this was for me, like somebody made this for me specifically, you feel me? And for me, Horimiya was that. So I had to collect every single volume of the manga, and we finally have volume 16, which feels like it took forever to release in English. And I don't know if this is still the case, but Horimiya is an interesting series, not only because like it's good, but also it was seemingly pretty popular, right? I felt like people really liked it, those who read it and watched it, but like they don't seem to have printed a lot of the volumes. Like collecting the series was actually pretty difficult for an ongoing series that's popular. And maybe it's just because it was always sold out or what, but like it was kind of hard to get a hold of them. And then the final volume took, I don't know, what felt like over a year to come out from when it really should have. Like, I don't know. I haven't really looked into why that is the case, but it was the case. But I digress. The point is, I enjoyed the series a lot. This is the final volume, and I can't wait to read. I can't read. Yeah, right. I did say I was a Dragon Ball fan. I can't wait to read it all and see all the things that were left out of the anime, because the anime does this weird thing where season 1 was showing all canon stuff, but obviously there's a lot of stuff that you missed considering this is 16 volumes and season 1 was just one season, right? And then the final episode is actually the canon ending of the manga from what I understand. And I never watched the final episode because I wanted to read the manga before that. It's just, yeah, long story short, basically, is I never watched the final episode, but once I read the manga, I will then watch it. But I have seen the missing pieces extra season that came out, showing a lot of the in-between stuff that was left out of the original season that comes from the manga. So yeah, also, by the way, shout out to my big homie Sayu. Some of you guys may know him as Alejandro Saab. a close personal friend of mine, he actually is the voice of Miyamura. So that's actually really cool in the English dub of the anime. But yeah, Horror Me is another series that comes highly recommended from me. Another romance series. I didn't realize just how many like romance series, like granted these are all shonen or whatever, right? It's not like I'm collecting shows, which not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's not like super gooey, mushy, like super soft, sensitive type of romance. It's kind of like, you know, the shonen cliche type of stuff that we all love, or at least that I love and I eat up and enjoy. But I just didn't realize how many romance or romance-esque series I was adding here. And I guess continuing on with that theme, we have another romance slice of life kind of series that you should all know and probably love, and you may not have read the manga, but you've definitely seen the anime because it's a movie by the name of A Silent Voice. And yeah, this was actually on sale on Amazon. So this was on sale everywhere, but Amazon had this for like 35 bucks. 35 bucks for the whole series. That's only 7 volumes, right? So it's a pretty short series. But yeah, so where do I start? Funny story with A Silent Voice, right? This series is several years old at this point now. And I remember when the final volume came out in English, I happened to be in the bookstore like around that time, whatever, because I used to have a local books in Million that I would walk to all the time and just hang out there, you know, read some latest volumes, check out some new series, whatever, just chill, hang out, just like a little bit of escape to get out the crib, whatever. And I just like chilling on there, right? They even had like a little cafe, a little like area where I could sit and chill, and they'd bring me little snacks and sometimes offer me something, whatever, free samples, cool, whatever. It was dope. But one day I'm in there, right? And I see the entirety of A Silent Voice on the shelf. And this is like 1 or 2 years before the movie releases. And I was like, okay, let me check it out. I read the first volume and I was hooked, bro. I sat there and I read the entire series, volumes 1 through 7, in one sitting while I was sitting in Books in the corner. And I loved it. I loved it a lot. And it took me a very long time to actually finally add it to the collection. But there definitely are series where I've done that, where I read it in the store and I usually buy it right away, or I would buy it soon thereafter. I don't know why I didn't do that with this series, because I've done it with several others. But better late than never, it finally has been added to the collection. We have volumes 1 through 7 of A Silent Voice, a beautiful manga, a beautiful movie, a story of redemption, a story of romance. And I don't think I have to speak too much on it, because I think most of y'all know what A Silent Voice is, but I was able to pick up the box set on Amazon on their Black Friday sale for 35 bucks. You can't beat that. So first, let me go ahead and give you guys a look around the box. This is one of the sides of the box. I know it's like mad bright, but hopefully there's not too much glare going on here. And this is the back of it. And here we have the other side, and then this part's empty. This is where obviously the books and the little poster and everything were. And speaking of the poster, here it is. On one side, it's actually promoting To Your Eternity, which is the other series written and illustrated, I believe, by the exact same mangaka, which I have not read, and I believe also has an anime now that I haven't checked out, but I'd like to at some point. I actually don't even know what it's about. I remember hearing a lot of buzz about it when it originally released, but I just never got around to checking it out. And then on the other side, we have this beautiful scene with the fireworks and the festival and everything. And yeah, this is really pretty. I'm probably not gonna hang this up or put it up anywhere. It's always a shame when you get posters like these and like box sets or collector's editions and whatnot, because obviously they have to fold them up or whatever. And the creases, I feel like, you know, kind of ruins it a little bit. So like, it's nice to have, I appreciate it. It's a nice little feature and a nice little touch to the box set. But for me, things like this normally just end up sitting in the box set, because it just doesn't look nice when you try to, you know, hang it up when it's you know, folded and whatnot like that. That being said, that's the box and the poster. Let me go ahead and show you volume 1. There you go. And you know what? Actually, I said I probably don't have to say too much, but there's got to be somebody out there who's watching this video right now that has probably heard of A Silent Voice, but has never actually read the series or watched the movie. So let me go ahead and read you the blurb on the back to give you an idea of what the story is about and see if it's something that might interest you. So, learning to listen. Shoya is a bully. When Shoko, a girl who can't hear, enters his elementary school class, she becomes his favorite target, and Shoya and his friends goad each other into devising new tortures for her. But the children's cruelty goes too far. Shoko is forced to leave the school, and Shoya ends up shouldering all the blame. 6 years later, the two meet again. Can Shoya make up for his past mistakes, or is it too late? And as the quote from Anime News Network says down here, a very powerful story about being different and the consequences of childhood bullying. Read it. And yeah, so basically, this little brat right here, he's picking on this girl for no real reason. And he grows up later and he's like, damn, I was a really shitty kid back then. I deeply regret it. Hey, I'm sorry. Could you ever forgive me? Type, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, like I said, it's a little redemption / romance story. And it's very powerful and very beautiful. And I highly recommend both the manga and the movie if you've never checked either of them out. But I'm sure most of you probably have. Anyway, that was volume 1. And then here we have Volume 2, really pretty cover here. You can't really see the colors all that well because my lights are so bright and the colors on here are pretty soft, but very, very beautiful. And here we have Volume 3. You know, another thing I'm thinking about as I'm sitting here doing all this, not only do I want to know if you guys would be interested in me talking about my top 10 favorite manga, because that'll be just fun for me to sit down and think about and then come up with a list. And then obviously I can pull them off the shelf and show them to you guys and talk about them. But something I've done a few times in the past that I haven't done in several years is talk about what are my top 10 favorite manga covers in my collection. Because obviously there are so many series that have beautiful artwork and just really, really nice covers. And I have hundreds upon hundreds of volumes at this point. And so if I pick out 10 that are my favorite, it'd probably be pretty dope and it might make for an interesting video. Obviously the manga content on this channel, ironically, isn't the most popular content that I make, which is funny because once upon a time it was, but obviously we've grown so much and branched out so much, you know, with the gaming content, some of the other lifestyle content that I do, that the manga stuff is still fun, it's still cool, but it's just not the biggest thing that I do. So I don't think the demand for it would be too high, but if there is a group of people out there who would like to see it, it's definitely something that I wouldn't mind doing because I think it'd be a lot of fun. But yes, here we have Volume 6, and then last but not least, we have Volume number 7. Yeah, that is the entirety of A Silent Voice, and it also came with this little notebook right here, which is actually Shoko's communication notebook. It's the notebook that she writes and to communicate with people because I guess one little other tidbit that I don't think was mentioned in the blurb but mentioned by me previously is that Shoko is deaf. So she actually uses this notebook to help her communicate. And it actually has like the things that she wrote in her book here in it. So it's a really cool little feature that I appreciate a lot. It's a nice little touch. So that'll also be kept safely in the box and be thrown on my, well, not thrown, but placed gently with care on my shelf back there. But yes, that is A Silent Voice. This next manga I want to show you guys is actually a re-edition to the collection. And it is another story that originally I read the entirety of while sitting in Books A Million. And that is none other than Solanin by Inio Asano. And I believe this is my third or fourth copy of this manga. And this is absolutely, undoubtedly, without a shadow of a doubt, one of my top 10 favorite manga of all time. Which then probably begs the question, why are you on your third or fourth copy? What keeps happening? Well, this is one of those stories that for me is so good and means so much to me and is so close to my heart that every chance I get to recommend it to a close personal friend, I lend them my copy. And when they come back to me inevitably telling me that they loved it, I let them keep it. And so that has happened multiple times where I give somebody my copy of Solanin, and I don't lend my books out to many people. And this, it's funny too, because like this is one of those things where it's like, you know, I don't just be lending out my book. Granted, it's not like I have a ton of IRL friends who want to borrow my stuff anyway. But you know what I'm saying? You would think it's like, hey, you know, you take care of that now. I expect it back. But it's like, I just want to spread this story as much as I can. And I just want other people to love it as much as I do. And so I just like, when I let other people read it, I'm just like, it's all yours. Keep it. Like, I want you to keep it, man. And so yeah, this is, like I said, this is my third or fourth copy of it. And there's a lot that I could say, but it's one of those things where it's so hard to talk about because I could talk about it forever, you know, and I don't want to sit here and ramble forever. But basically, I guess I'll read you guys the blurb on the back to give you an idea, and then I'll add on what I feel is necessary for me to talk about it. So, Meiko Inoue is a recent college grad working as an office lady in a job that she hates. Relatable for a lot of people, I'm sure. Her boyfriend Naruo is permanently crashing at her apartment because his job as a freelance illustrator doesn't pay enough for rent. And her parents in the country keep sending her boxes of veggies that just rot in her fridge. Straddling the line between her years as a student and the rest of her life, Meiko struggles with the feeling that she's just not cut out to be part of the real world. And so basically, this is the story of Meiko and you know, her boyfriend and a group of other friends, a small group of friends that are basically like, they're college graduates. And it's kind of like, what are we doing in life? Where are we going? Like, is this really all there is? Am I just stuck at this dead end office job? And like, you know, things just aren't really working out for them as well as they hope. And particularly in her case, she's just like, where do I go from here? Like, what am I supposed to do? And that's just something that I feel like a lot of people can really relate to, you know? I feel like, especially if you're in that range of like just graduated college or high school even, or you're like, you know, and even if you're older than that, right? Because I feel like, you know, that's one of those feelings that can happen to you at any age or any point in your life. Obviously, you know, when you're older, maybe not so much when you're 12, but if you're like 18 to 50, maybe even more than that, right? You've probably felt that feeling at some point. You might even be feeling it now, which is why I think the story is so great, because when you read a story or you hear a song or you watch a movie that resonates with you personally and you can really relate to it, I feel like it hits so much harder. And for me, Solanin is one of those stories where, you know, I read it when I was around that age and I was just like, yo, this shit hitting a little bit too close to home, but in the best way possible. And so it's something that means a lot to me. It is, like I said, a top 10, a top 5 favorite manga for me of all time. Maybe even like 3rd or 4th, honestly, behind. It's pretty high up there. It's pretty high up there on the list for me. And obviously, a lot of you guys, if you're a manga collector, you've probably heard of Inio Asano, but if you haven't, he's renowned for a plethora of very interesting works, to say the least. And this is my personal favorite from him. Now, I'm not as well versed in his not biography, but his discography, I guess you'd call it, in his list of works as some others are. I haven't read a ton of them. I've read maybe 3, but this is my favorite of the 3. And if there is one manga more than any other in this whole video that I would recommend and that I want you guys to check out, it's definitely this one. And a lot of you guys are probably already aware of this. I've talked about it all the time and it's probably obvious to a lot of you, but my favorite anime of all time is Fully Cooley. And I don't think anything could ever top that for me, because it's just one of those, again, just the way that it hits for me and the sentimental value and the nostalgia and everything. And on top of it just being really funny to me, really fun, the music and everything, like it's just my favorite, right? To me, that is a masterpiece. It's perfect. There's no topping it. However, I've said it before in the past and I'll reiterate it here. I do think if there ever was going to be an anime that could top Fully Cooley for me, it would be if Solanin got an anime adaptation, which obviously it's only 2 volumes. It's just one, in English, it's just one Viz signature. It's 2 volumes in one, right? So with it being so short, it would never get a series, right? But if it were to get like a movie, like it could be my favorite movie of all time. It has a live action movie that I've seen and do recommend because I do think it's really good, and also features a song called Solanin by Asian Kung Fu Generation, who I'm sure you guys are familiar with all the anime openings that they've done before. But yeah, man, this is one of them ones. This is one of them ones. Like I said, if there's one manga that I can recommend to you, it's this one. And quickly before we move on to the next series, I guess I'll just show like a random page or panel from the manga just to give you guys an idea of what it looks like inside. And just on the chance that you're just not familiar with Inio Asano's artwork and his style or whatever. But yeah, man, I could really sit here and just talk about this story forever. But we do have several more volumes and series to go through. So I'm just gonna go ahead and set that to the side and we're gonna move on. Next up, we have what I believe catches me up to the English print releases of this series. And that is volumes 23 through 28 of Twin Star Exorcist. Hey, look, it's been a minute. It's been a minute since I got to sing the praises of Twin Star Exorcist. So say no Myoji, right? I used to do that every time I talked about it. But yeah, so again, I've been really behind on manga for a very long time, so I'm catching back up. And it's just, I just don't set enough time aside to read manga as much as I used to, which is why I don't buy as much as I used to, because I'm not reading it as much. And Twin Star is one of those series that I haven't caught fully back up to yet. And honestly, it had been so long since I had like put it to the side, or just manga in general to the side, I was waiting for it to finish because I thought that it would have been done by now. And I'm not mad that it's not. I was under the impression that it was going to end sooner than it has taken it to end. And I was like, okay, when it ends, that's when I'll finally read the rest of it and, you know, catch up and everything and then buy all the volumes. And we're not there quite yet, but that's fine. That's fine because this is a story that I love so much and I'm fine with it going on longer than I expect. And if you're not familiar with Twin Star Exorcist, well, first of all, let me say this. If you are familiar with Twin Star Exorcist and your familiarity with it comes from the anime, you don't know anything about Twin Star Exorcist because these are 2 totally different stories. Like, you know how people say like, oh, the Berserk anime and the manga are different, or oh, the Tokyo Ghoul anime and the manga are different, or like, oh, like Naruto or what, like whatever the case is, right? No, this is by far the most drastic difference between an anime and a manga that I have personally ever experienced, okay? And the Twin Star anime is not bad, but this is a hell of a lot better. So if you've ever seen the anime, you thought it was whack, you thought it was mid or whatever, do yourself a favor, check out the manga. I promise it's a lot better. For those of you who aren't aware of it at all, basically, Twin Star Exorcist is the story of Rokuro and Benio. Rokuro is an exorcist. He was like a little child prodigy. He had a really tragic incident in his past. And where have we heard this type of story before, right? But anyway, yeah, he was supposed to be him, bro. He was supposed to be that boy. Something crazy happened in his past. He was like, I don't want to be no exorcist no more. I'm giving all that up. There's a girl named Benio who comes along. There's supposed to be the twin star exorcist. There's supposed to be this arranged marriage. They got to get married, have a child, and that child gonna be the child of prophecy who gonna save the world from Kekere, which are these monster demon things from another world that's trying to take over the world and, you know, destroy everything and whatnot. And yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. That's a very, very basic synopsis of what's going on. And I just like, between the characters, the artwork, I don't even want to open any of these volumes because it's so far into the story that it'd just be too big of a spoiler. But the artwork is incredible. I think the story is really fun and really interesting. And for me, Twin Star Exorcist is one of those series where I wouldn't blame people if they don't think it's anything special just because they're so jaded. And let me go through these volume covers with you while I'm talking about it. I wouldn't blame people if they don't think it's anything special just because they're like, oh, this is cliche, it's generic, like I'm jaded to this type of story and these types of characters. And honestly, actually, even these manga covers themselves is spoilers for people who haven't read it before. But you know, it's so far in advance that like you're not gonna know, you don't have the context as to why it's spoilers. And if you do start reading it, it's not gonna matter to you because by the time you start reading it, you're not gonna remember what you saw in these manga covers anyway. So I'm gonna just go ahead and show them. But yeah, Twin Star Exorcist to me is the perfect example of a series that learns from all of its predecessors and like all of its contemporaries. And while it may be cliche, while it may be generic in a lot of ways, it executes very, very well, like on those concepts, on those themes, on those ideas, and delivers what I believe is a very cool story with some really dope characters, some really fun artwork, a really, really nice dynamic between Rokuro and Benio, our two main characters. I love the way that the relationship unfolds and develops. I think the humor in here is actually really, really good. It genuinely makes me laugh. I think there's some really dope fights. There's some questions that get asked in here that really make you think. And just some really cool situations that like legitimately catch you off guard. And like when I was reading it, I didn't think, you know, what's going to be the case. You know what I'm saying? Like there's legitimately some twists in here that happen. I'm like, oh, okay, I genuinely didn't see that coming. And this is also a story that like sometimes does something. And I don't want to get into specifics. I don't want to get into details, right? But how many times have you been watching an anime or a manga, right? And they do something crazy or drastic, or something happens to this character, or this person does that thing or whatever, and then like there's redemption, or somebody's brought back to life, or that didn't really happen, it was a flashback, it was a dream, or whatever the case is, right? Nah, bro, in this story, it's sometimes where some shit happening, like, oh, but this is, you know what I'm saying, that didn't really happen, like that's not the end. Like, nah, bro, like what just happened just really happened. Like that's, you know what I'm saying? And there's just several instances of that. And eventually I got to the point where I was like, oh, okay, no, like that's, it's really cool. And it's really fun too, because like it got to a point where I started accepting anything that happened. I was like, oh, yep, I guess that's just the way things are now. But it also introduces the ability for you to like, okay, so now that you just believe everything is the way that it is, you're actually genuinely caught off guard again when your ankles do get snatched. It's like, oh, hi, just kidding. This was actually this, or that was actually that. You feel me? And so it's just like, yeah, that's just something about it that I really appreciate. And I don't know, Twin Star Exorcist is another one of the ones. This is, or at least I don't know if I could confidently say that it is, or if I can claim it, but this was, when I was consistently reading it, my favorite ongoing series, like point blank period, right? I guess right now I kind of got to give that title to Blue Box, since it's the one that I'm actually still reading. And yeah, I would put that over like Boruto or like My Hero or Dragon Ball Super, whatever. But I haven't read Twin Star in a while now. So like I would say that I still like it more than I like Blue Box. I'm more invested in it than I'm in Blue Box, but I'm reading Blue Box more recently. So you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's really cool. It's really, really cool. And here we have volume 27 as well. And like I said before, I'll say it again because I can't stress this enough every time I talk about this series. If you saw the anime, you don't know anything at all about Twin Star. You don't know anything at all about Twin Star, bro, because I promise it ain't the same thing. It ain't the same thing. Well, that's volumes 23 through 28. Twin Star Exorcist is a series that I can sit here and rave about it forever. I've got a lot of catching up to do when it comes to the story. If we're being honest, if we keep it at a buck, if we keep it at a thou wow with you. But I love it, man. I love it. Like I said, everything from the characters, the artwork, the dynamic between the characters and the relationships, and how the relationship between Rokuro and Benio develops. And it actually, I've said this before and I made the comparison before, in a lot of ways, it reminds me of Shaman King, which, as you guys know, is one of my favorite series of all time. I mean, my last name is Asakura. There's a reason for that, you feel me? And Rokuro and Benio are obviously different, and the story of Twin Star is definitely different. But something about them reminds me a lot of Anna and Yo. And well, speaking of Shaman King, the next pickup I actually have is a brand new series. Well, not really. Yeah, not really. We have, okay, the next addition to the collection is the the first 4 volumes of Shaman King Flowers. And I was gonna say this is technically a new addition to the collection because I don't have Shaman King Flowers, except I do, because Shaman King Flowers is the sequel to Shaman King, so it's not Shaman King, but it is. So I was gonna say it's a new series, but I actually already own the entirety of Shaman King Flowers in Japanese. This is a series that I picked up in Japanese just because I'm that big of a fan of Shaman King, and I didn't think we would ever get an English release for this because it's been so long that this came out in Japanese. This is well over a decade ago. I didn't think they would ever get translated and brought over, but shout out Kodansha because they did it, and we're up to 4 volumes. I think volume 5 releases soon, if I remember correct, and I will finally be able to sit down and read the entirety of it in English, like in my hand, because I've never been able to do that before. So yeah, like I said, it's the sequel to Shaman King, so it follows the story of Hannah right here. But yeah, it's hard for me to series like this are hard for me to recommend. Not because I don't think that they're good, because to me they are really good, but it's just like I'm just such a Shaman King fanboy, and it's my channel. I do what I want. I could be as biased as I want, but it's one of the things where I would just say, like, if you like Shaman King, yeah, you already know about this, you already like this, but it's like if you haven't read Shaman King, you don't know anything about it, then like this means nothing to you anyway. So like this is a series I don't have to recommend to you, because like if you like Shaman King, you're gonna probably read this or pick it up or want to get into it anyway. And if you don't know about Shaman King, then you're not going to check this out because it's the sequel. So yeah, but anyway, we have volume 1 here, and I actually want to show you guys the backs of these as well. And I probably should have been showing you the backs of some of these other ones as well, but it is what it is. Anyway, I just like the way these look, you know. And I think for all of them, it's you basically on the back are just getting, it's kind of like this little gradient line effect thing that you're getting from the same image on the front. But I don't know, it was just kind of cool to me. I just kind of wanted to show it, that's all. Anyway, here we have volume 2, and this volume cover in particular reminds me of Ultimo. And I don't know how many of you guys know about Ultimo, but Ultimo was a story that was made in collaboration with Hiroyuki Takei and Stan Lee. Yes, that Stan Lee. May he rest in peace. I've never actually read Ultimo. I wanted to collect it and add it to my collection years ago and never got around to it. And now it's actually really hard to find. I believe it's kind of expensive because it's out of print or whatever. It's probably even more rare, even more valuable now that Stan Lee has passed away. From what I heard, it wasn't very good actually, but I kind of want it anyway. So it's one of those series that one day you might see me randomly buy off eBay and add to the collection somewhere down the line. But yeah, here we have volume 2 of Shaman King Flowers. And moving on, we have volume 3. And the covers for these are pretty simple, but I do like them a lot. I do think Shaman King's original cover, you know, I just realized I showed you guys volume 4 instead of volume 2. Yo, I dead can't count. I for real can't count. I thought these was in order, but they not. I'm actually a Dragon Ball fan. Well, I showed you guys volume 4. That was volume 3. Anyway, as I was saying, the covers are very simple, but I like them a lot. But I do like the original Shaman King covers more, I think. Nah, I definitely do. And anyway, here we have volume 2. I could have sworn I had these stacked in order. I guess I didn't, but it's really not that big of a deal, I guess. But yeah, Shaman King Flowers, man. I will definitely be adding volumes 5 and 6 to the collection upon their release. I have to double check to see when they release, because I've actually had these sitting here for a minute now, because I've been collecting this stuff over the last few months, obviously. The bulk of it was just picked up recently during the Crunchyroll sale, but some of this has been sitting here for a while, and these in particular have been sitting here for a minute. Or at least the first 2 volumes were. Volumes 1 and 2 were sitting here for a while. Volumes 3 and 4 were just part of the recent order. But yeah, anything Shaman King that comes out, I'm probably going to buy it, man. Like back there, I got Shaman King figures. I surprisingly don't have a Shaman King poster hung up on my wall, but I got art book, the flowers in English, flowers in Japanese, the entirety of the original Viz run. I got the new releases of the current Kodansha run. Like yeah, it's unnecessary, but it is what it is. And then up next, we have volumes 8, 9, and 10 of Spy Family. Spy Family, one of my favorite anime that's ongoing right now. I just love seeing Anya run around and just be adorable and whatnot, and Yours become like one of my favorite anime girls, and Lloyd he's just cool as all hell, you know what I'm saying? It's just a great fun story. I just think it's really dope, and I haven't been reading the manga, but I've been collecting because I've been watching the anime and I've been loving it. It's one of those things where like I love the anime so much that I wanted to buy, you know, the stuff and read this eventually and whatnot. And yeah, I gotta get some Your figures or something. I have like this little tiny figure that I got from Target from like a little blind box or whatever, but like I need like a legitimate one and stuff. I need to get some more Spy Family merch. It's kind of the GOAT, I ain't gonna lie. But yeah, here we have volume 8, and then we have volume 9, and then last but not least, we also have volume 10. But yeah, for those of you who don't know what Spy Family is by any chance that you haven't checked it out, because I feel like it's kind of been all the rave. This is like a pretty popular series right now, at least in terms of the anime. The manga as well, obviously, but you know, the anime is you know, I feel like the anime is usually what elevates the popularity of a series to another level. Basically you have this dude named Twilight, I guess it's his code name, but his name in the story is Lloyd Forger for the sake of his undercover role that he's in. You have this undercover agent, this spy, whatever, who's like basically trying to save his country and all this other stuff, who ends up getting like a fake family with this assassin named Yor, and they have this adopted daughter named Anya, who's a telepath. Neither of them know that she's a telepath. Lloyd doesn't know Yor is a spy, Yor doesn't know Lloyd is a spy. Lloyd doesn't know Yor is an assassin. And it's yeah, so you can start to imagine how things get kind of complicated and fun and hectic. They don't know that she's, and you know what I'm saying? But Anya knows that her mom is an assassin and that her dad is a spy. And it's just, there's a lot of hijinks that come with that. She's adorable. It's hilarious. Lloyd is really cool. Yor is really cool. It's great. I love it. And speaking of being really cool and being really adorable and just you know, just pink-haired anime girls who I've grown to love a lot, we have the first volume of Bocchi the Rock. So I'm gonna go ahead and assume a lot of you already heard of or know about Bocchi the Rock. A lot of you have probably already seen it or have been reading it for yourselves. But yeah, man, your boy's a Bocchi fan, and that may or may not come as a surprise to some of you guys. But for one, the music in it is incredible. I think Bocchi herself is an incredible character. Like, she's an adorable little cinnamon roll who needs to be protected at all costs. But man, look, basically, let me go ahead and read you the blurb on the back, and then I'll add on what I feel like I need to add on. Hitori Goto just wants to be popular, but the thought of interacting with her classmates makes her fall to pieces. Her solution, become a rock legend so that... Crazy solution, by the way. Her solution is to become a rock legend so cool that people approach her instead. Roundabout way to go ahead solving that problem. But however, while spending all of middle school in her closet shredding on the guitar may have earned her anonymous internet fame, it did nothing for her social skills. Now a high schooler, Hitori's feelings ready to shrivel up and die when she gets a sudden request to fill in for a band. It's like her wish came true. But does this most anxious of introverts have what it takes to perform in front of a live audience? And so basically, Bocchi is her nickname, okay? And Bocchi became a YouTuber who hides her face and be shredding on a guitar, right? And you know, she got a pretty good little following, whatever. And then one day this girl comes along and like basically gets her to join her band. And this girl is a big fan of Guitar Hero Girl, who's on the YouTube channel, not knowing the whole time that it's Bocchi. And was like, oh yeah, man, that's crazy. Oh, wow. But obviously her anxiety just makes it hard for her to not only perform on stage, but also even like communicate with the band and talk and be part of things or whatever. And it's just a really cool story that reminds me a little bit of like Komi Can't Communicate, who, you know, is another story of a girl who has anxiety and has trouble talking to her friends and everything like that, or trouble even making friends in the first place. And this is in some ways like Komi if Komi was a rock star. Like if Komi was trying to become like the lead guitarist in a rock band. That's basically how you can kind of look at things to a certain degree or a certain extent. Now, what I actually didn't know about this series is that from what I can tell, it's actually a 4-koma manga series. Now, the manga itself is, I mean, the anime itself is very funny, very comedic, very humorous, right? And lots of little gags and whatever. And I'm usually not a big fan of like gag series. I usually don't think that they're that funny or that interesting or humorous or entertaining. But hey, this one didn't prove me wrong, because I didn't know that it was this style until I bought it. I'm not mad at that at all, because I love the anime so much, so I just want to collect this regardless. But yeah, also worth noting, this is printed by Yen Press, and it's actually a different trim size from a standard like manga tankobon that you might be accustomed with. So for example, this Shaman King Flowers volume is the same, you know, size and cut as like any like random Shonen Jump volume. So let me just go ahead and grab Twin Star. This is a Viz Media Shonen Jump volume. You can see that's a little bit shorter than Bocchi is, if I get that to focus, right? So this Bocchi is like wider and taller. I think, is this the same size as Solanin? Actually, I think it might be a little bit smaller than Solanin. No, it is the same size. So width and height wise, it's the same as like a Viz signature series, right? So like your Tokyo Ghoul volumes, Solanin if you've got it, but it is very thin. Again, that shouldn't really matter. Just thought it'd be worth noting for anyone who may be curious or just, you know, might get it in and just be like, oh wait, what the hell? But yeah, I love the Bocchi anime a lot, and I do plan on collecting and reading the manga as well. Now, the only thing about series like this is that they definitely hit a little bit harder in the anime, because obviously music is a big part of the series. And you know, you're not hearing the music when you're reading. I guess you could play the soundtrack on Spotify or something like that, but it's not really the same, right? That being said though, another one of my favorite series out there is Your Lie in April. And while I love the anime, the manga still hits really crazy as well. And you know, I actually did listen to music while I was reading that. and it actually did hit pretty hard. Like, I ain't gonna lie, it was pretty fire. Like, I definitely would recommend. But yeah, you know, I'm sure the manga is still entertaining enough to where even without the music, you're gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna enjoy it. So yeah, it will definitely be continuing to add the following volumes to the collection. And then last but not least, we have, what is this? I believe 7 volumes, volumes 29 through 35, which I think is up to date with the English releases. I might be a couple behind at this point. I'm not too sure. But we have 29 through 35 of My Hero Academia, which is a story that I'm certain needs no introduction or doesn't need to be talked about too much. Whether you like it or not, whether you read it or not, I'm pretty sure everybody watching this video knows about My Hero, right? Even people who ain't really into anime and manga like that know about My Hero Academia. My little sister got into anime and manga, I feel like, because of My Hero Academia. So yeah, My Hero is a story that like I still enjoy quietly on my own. The My Hero Academia community online is not something I really want to be a part of. You know, I used to say that there's a difference between My Hero fans and Boku no Hero fans. I don't even feel like that's the case no more, dog. I just feel like, yeah, this is one of them ones where like I read it and I like it quite a bit, but I don't really talk about it online. I don't really interact or engage with the community because it's some weird stuff going on out there, man. And I just ain't really trying to be part of it. You know, I make fun and I crack jokes and I poke at certain like fan bases or whatever, you know, here and there. And I don't want nothing to do with them. I don't want nothing to do with them. But anyway, here we have volume 29, and My Hero is actually a series that I have been reading a lot of because I was very, very far behind. I want to say I was at chapter 220-ish, 230-ish. Now I'm at about 350, so I'm still a decent ways behind, but I've caught up quite a bit from where I was. And I like it a lot, man. I like it a lot. My Hero feels like it's always been really polarizing. It's a story that whenever I do binge it and catch up, I always enjoy a lot. And then when I catch up, I'm like, I don't know why people were saying that this was mid or that this was bad, because I actually really like it. But to some degree, I can understand, right? Because like the school festival, for example, I actually really like that arc. But a lot of people don't, because when you're waiting a whole week for one of those chapters, I can see why that was born. Or even like the Gentle and like La Brava arc or whatever. Like, yeah, I could see it. But when, you know, as somebody who got to read that entire arc in one sitting and just kind of like, you know, went straight through, and it's, I don't know. I enjoyed it. And I still enjoy My Hero. And My Hero is a series that has actually been hitting a little bit harder for me recently. And again, you know, we talked about just like sentimental value and just like when something just feels like it's speaking to you personally, or just like hitting a certain note. And like some of the chapters like I was reading as like I was binging up were just hitting a certain note for me due to like certain things that we're not going to get into. And I was just like, damn, man, like that's really crazy. And I didn't expect My Hero of all series to be a manga that does that for me, because like it's always been cool. Like I've always liked it, because similar like Twin Star Exorcist, I've always felt like My Hero is one of those series that like very clearly learning from its predecessors, very clearly like not too different from its contemporaries in terms of like what it's trying to do and execute on like certain themes and characters and tropes and whatnot, but it does it all really well in my opinion, right? And then that's the reason why it became so popular and so mainstream. Now if you're gonna ask me to compare the two, I think Twin Star is a lot better and a lot more enjoyable, but that's just me personally. But I digress. Even though I've always enjoyed My Hero, I didn't expect it to hit for me the way that it has been recently, and that may or may not have moved up the series like on my all-time list and like made me appreciate it on a newfound level or whatever. But yeah, man, so unless things like take a drastic nosedive, which some people will try to convince me that it does, I'm sure that it probably doesn't, because it's never as bad as people try to convince me that it is. Nothing is ever really as bad or as good as somebody gonna hype it up to you to be, right? That includes even all the stuff that I'm hyping up to you. But you know, hopefully somebody out there enjoys some of these series as much as I do. This is a fire cover. I ain't even gonna hold you. Yo, Vigilante Deku, it's kind of clean. I ain't gonna lie. And this character right here, I got some words. I want to talk about this character right here and what happens in this volume, but this is so old at this point to people who care or read or talk about My Hero. Like it's way too late. You feel me? I feel like that ship is sailed. Like I'm so far behind. But I need to hit up like Vocal Pineapple or somebody, because I kind of want to rant. I'm not gonna lie, but it's fine. It's cool. Anyway, so that is actually the final volume in this haul. I don't know how long this video ended up being, but that took 57 minutes for me to record. So I've been sitting here talking about manga for an hour, and I could probably do it for another hour, to be honest, because I didn't even talk about any of these as much as I would really like to. But yeah, man, the collection just keeps growing and growing. Like I said, manga collection video will be coming soon, so stay on the lookout for that. And how many volumes was this? Let me go ahead and count real quick. 41, right? If I count it correctly, that was 41 volumes of manga. I did not realize it was that many. I thought it was somewhere around 30-ish, but it was even more than I thought. So pretty big haul that I'm pretty happy with, very satisfied with. And hey man, you know, let me know what you've picked up recently and what you're looking forward to picking up in the comments down below. But hey man, manga collection video coming soon. Hopefully I do that sooner rather than later. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit this video with a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already so you can stay tuned for all this content when I bring you. But all that being said, let's finish off today. And remember, the could happen to you swing the bat. Later.